Hi, it's Sherry Geyer with Joy-Filled Relationships. Thanks so much for joining me today. Would love the opportunity to connect with you. For you to do that, just reach out to me at my website, joyfilledrelationships.com/contact. So today we are going to be talking about a really fun, haha, am I kidding you? A situation I'm sorry, season of life. And it's what are the advantages of the journey of not knowing? Who wants to be in a journey of not knowing, right? Who wants to live that place? We want to know, we want the assurity, we want the confidence. And I know I've been talking to my friend Jeannie this morning, and she's been in a season for a while. I don't think she'd mind me saying where she hasn't known, but she's known one thing: I can pray away the things that the enemy's trying to use against me, the fear and the hurt, and I can trust you even when I don't know. So she's my inspiration for today, and it's so cool to me how I've talked to her before because she's been online with me this morning, but she and I had no idea where God would be leading me to share this morning. It was already set in motion. And so her journey that she shared with me was confirming. So I hope this will be a blessing to you, Jeannie, as well as to everyone else who will view this. So consider the advantages of not knowing. Kind of hard to do that up front, but anyway, for me personally, the thing in my life that has the potential to cause me the most anxiety is my wanting things to turn out in a certain way. I think I'll be good if that happens. I have found myself in that mental trap of thinking that if I can navigate a particular outcome, so that I will do what I will do to navigate a particular outcome is to put on my general manager of the universe hat and formulate in my mind all of the amazing things that will need to happen when I land on the desired outcome for a particular project, person, plan, trip, or whatever. So if it all goes that way, I'll be good, right? It sounds something like everyone that I love will love me back with love to spare. I will so rock my next meeting that the client will sign up for a lifetime membership and tell all of their friends to do the same. From that, I will gain 1 million new clients. Then I will evolve into the next latest, greatest, new, and improved me. Right? Hashtag funny, not funny, because it's not happening. The next thing that actually happens is that I then begin to fear that it won't come true. And there is where the stress begins. So the funny thing is, I don't have this stress entering my mind simply because I don't know everything. It only comes into play when I begin to think and believe that I am actually in control of how everything will work out. The advantages, by virtue of not knowing, I am actually happier. When I meet with my family, friends, and clients, they can observe and feel my happiness because I can be cool with how things are going. And since this is a positive attribute, it actually is one that is very attractive to other people. We love rubbing elbows with people who are calm and settled about life in general. I'm totally okay regardless of what happens. Therefore, I am good with any outcome of a meeting, a project, a launch, so no outcome really messes me up. As one of my clients often says, just go with it. So I flow. Admitting that I truly don't know, nor do I have to know, helps me to be truly honest with myself. This honesty flows out to friends and families, readers, clients, new acquaintances, basically to everyone I encounter. They can learn to trust me by knowing that when whatever happens, I will deal with it according to what is required when it does happen. That is a powerful message for building authentic relationships. Let me repeat that. Folks can learn to trust me or you, any of us, by knowing that when whatever in life happens, and as we know, life does happen, we will deal with it according to what is required as it happens. That message helps us to build relationships that are authentic because it helps us to be the kind of people that others can trust. And when we're trustworthy, Jeannie and I both could tell you that means we can become safe people. And when we are safe people, we attract safer relationships that are ones that can go the distance with us when life it does happen and is not going the way we had hoped or anticipated. So I don't have to plan every little detail, cross every or dot every dot and cross every tea as much anymore. And the reason is because not knowing helps me to realize that detailed plans can be useless and actually a waste of time if I get so tethered to them that I can't be free to spend less time worrying and more time executing what needs to happen. So at times I even find myself being more spontaneous if I'm not weighed down by so many concrete plans. So something this girl who loves her routines has had tried really hard to avoid is being spontaneous. I'm not known for that. I am no longer consumed by the horrible fear that I may be doing the wrong thing if I diligently stay focused on doing the next basic right thing and trust the process. It's amazing how often things really work out very well, and I didn't have to carry all that anxiety along with me in the journey. So here's some suggestions that I have to work through for embracing this journey, because it is not a one and done. It's easy to fall back into that routine of wanting to be in charge, wanting to hold everything in control and have it all work out a certain way for me to be okay. So the first thing I have to do is to admit that I don't know. This is obviously the first step, but it is hard because we often want to think we know, or at least that we can make certain things happen the way we want them to. We do not control the future. We cannot know the future. And in my grandson's words that bring truth to life, as only a 4-year-old can, it's okay to, you fill in the blank, not know the future. That he loves to say that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. But I love it when he says that, because it is okay to not know the future. God has us and he has it. Number two, tune into the things that cause your anxiety. That's what pulls me back to realizing I'm trying to control, is I feel this tightness in my gut. It's almost like something is constricting. So when I start to feel that, and it's normal for me, that's the way. I'm sure if you're the person that your anxiety is felt right in your gut, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Look inward for the source of that anxiety. Is it something I'm trying to make happen? Is it something I'm not accepting that is going in a way that I don't really want? And then at that point, I can stop and say, okay, God, isn't what I wanted, but I need you to guide me. I need you to help me, even though it's not exactly what I'd like to see happen. So learning to recognize what I'd like to have happen can contribute to making me anxious. But also, if I identify it, I can then relinquish it and say, okay, that would have been ideal for me as far as I know, but I still trust that God will work this out. The awareness that we have in this is the key to working through our emotions, which is what's causing for me that, I call it the gut clamp, and adjusting to the reality. It's really the perspective, where when I'm looking at it thinking, oh, the worst is going to happen, it takes my energy away. It robs me of strength. But when I say, okay, I need to move and adjust a little bit, and it's not so bad. The thing that changes is the way we perceive it. Once we have a chance to consider a different perspective, we will warm up to the idea. As Jeannie and I were talking earlier, we were talking about something in the real estate industry that we both have been in, and my husband does that more in our partnership now than I do, but some things have changed. You've probably heard about them. And as we began to talk about it, we realized it's a perspective that's changed, and it's the way we communicate that puts people at ease. If we get all riled up and crossed up and concerned and stressed about it, our clients and the people we talk to don't know what to expect, but they know us. They know who we are. They've worked with us for years. So they sort of follow our lead. And that's true in the other people in our life. Our tribe know us, and they're going to watch for the signs of how we're dealing with things, and they're going to pull their cues from us. So also number three, remind yourself you'll be okay. Once you acknowledge a particular outcome you're hoping for, tell yourself that you will be fine regardless of what happens. And you know what? That will go a long way in helping you to accept it. Life and death situations, of course, are possibly the only exception to this. And even in extremely difficult issues, eventually life does resume and we adjust to whatever the new normal is. Number four, consider your worst case scenarios. I often will walk through in my mind, or maybe in my journal, what the worst case scenario would look like, and I just let it play out. I deal with my emotions around it, my fear, my concern, my hesitancy. And once I go through that process, I've dealt with the emotions. I'm more prepared to deal with things in the way I think that they may end up being. And, it really prepares me. It's like I deal with the drama or the trauma or whatever you want to call it. And then when I'm faced with the choices I actually have to make, I'm really a step above where I'd be. I'm not blindsided. I've worked through it, and it's really helpful. So honestly, you can eventually make necessary adjustments, and you'll be fine with no matter what. Just be prepared to give it a little time. So number 5 is know your principles. If you are not chained to a particular outcome or vision of the future, what are the principles you adhere to? More than likely, if you're on here, you're a person of faith in Jesus Christ. So you're going to stick to the value that God has this. I'm going to lean into the Lord and I'm going to follow him. And, and what's important to me is doing right, is being a person of integrity, is, we talked about clients, is when I tell my clients something, I follow through with them. I'm there for them. My friends know me. They can take my word to the bank because I'm going to show up. Those are our values. Those are the principles that we bind ourselves to. So knowing that, those are all good things. They're the positive things that Paul talks about in Philippians chapter 4, whatsoever things are good and pure, if there be any praise or virtue, think on these things. That's when we can step back, we can relax, and then begin to determine what is driving me. Why am I so concerned about this outcome? What do I believe that I'm passionate to do or be about it? And who's to think that the way it actually does turn out wouldn't be better overall anyway? So you may find your most fulfillment in helping others, extending compassion, doing work that you love, or building or creating things. But in all of that, realizing that even if there's a shift, more than likely, if you adhere to what you value, you will continue to deliver the excellent service and care and in all that you do to others. And it will be great, much better maybe than we believe at first. So number 6, let your principles, not your goals or your detailed values, be what guides you. I'm sorry, detailed plans be what guides you. Let your principles, not your goals or detailed plans, be what guides you. So once you have these guiding principles that I mentioned, let them guide you on a day-by-day, moment-by-moment basis. You don't know how something will turn out when you act, but you do know that whether this action is in line with your principles. And that is the guide. That's where you want to stay within the lines. You don't want to go outside of something. You don't want to sacrifice your integrity for whatever, the almighty dollar, the relationship, whatever. You want to do what's right for the way God has shown you and what resonates well within your own spirit, so that however things work out, you've done your best and you can live with that. And when you lay your head down at night, you can sleep with it, you can sleep because you've done all you could. And finally, number 7, learn to relax in the journey. While the journey of not knowing is not easy, it can be liberating and transforming. You are in the midst of a turbulent sea and are afloat without knowing where anything will go at some point. In reality, though, this has always been the case. We just may never have viewed it through that particular lens. When have we ever known how everything was going to play out? Just because we go through seasons in our lives where we feel like we have 9 lives and we're bulletproof, we never have been. So we focus on practicing how we can enjoy the journey, take the small steps, gain the freedom of viewing the incredible place that you are in, and get familiar with the new surroundings that come about because what's coming. Then just relax and go with it. The freedom of not knowing may become your journey to the best of life. And you can let that begin today as you recognize that no matter what it looks like, God is with you, He has you, and you are living out according to the values and the principles that you have established by your faith in Christ. And you can't help but win. It's a win-win. My mom always said, regardless of how it turns out, you either get the win or the lesson. And I honestly believe sometimes when you don't win the way you thought you wanted to and needed to, you learn a lot more and you're a lot better as a result. If you always win, you don't learn as much as when sometimes you have to acquiesce in a good way. So Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I would love to connect with you. Please reach out at joyfilledrelationships.com/contact. Take care and God bless.